What's up, witches? My name is Taylor and I'm the Tempest Witch, and today we're talking about the rune Yebo. It's either pronounced Yebo or Gebo, depending on who you learn from, which articles you read, which books and literature you read, because the runes are so ancient that things have been translated in multiple different ways, so whatever you feel the most comfortable with, use that. Yebo is an X, so it is a powerful bind rune that you can use for a variety of different things. There's also something really unique about it, so we'll go through the domain first and then we'll get to what's unique. Yebo is a gift. That is its direct meaning, but it is the giving and receiving, the transaction of gift giving. It's giving with no expectation because it is what you should do. It's not only exchange, but it's generosity and sacrifice. It is the concept of putting something out with no expectation to receive, if that makes sense. So don't think of it as necessarily transactional, but just a force. Now, what's interesting about Yebo, it is the first rune we've covered that is not able to be Merkstav. Because it is an X, you can't really make it Merkstav, which is why I always find it important to pull runes in sets, whether that's in 3s or 9s or 5s, depending on which splay you're doing, because the runes individually don't tell you a very good message, but if they're coupled or put into a group, you can read them as a group, as a whole, instead of individually, which is why Yebo does have a Merkstav meaning, which is greed, an imbalance of power, imbalance transactionally, unstable relationships, unstable relationship dynamics. There is that negative facet of gift giving. So giving with the point of receiving, which is greed, or an imbalance of powers in your relationship, giving too much, the other person not giving enough. You have to read runes as a set to understand their full meaning, because otherwise, be like, yeah, Yebo, it's a good thing, positive, whatever, but you read it with like Hakalas and Tharisas, and you're like, oh, this is negative. Solid. Just keep that in mind. It does have a Merkstav meaning, but it doesn't necessarily as itself have a Merkstav meaning. As a talisman, Yebo is really good for rebalancing powers, especially power dynamics. So like I said, you can use it as a bind rune to return things to a semblance of homeostasis or equilibrium, depending on which facet you're trying to use it for. By that same token, Yebo is also really good for sex magic because it rebalances your physical energy. So one person is not the giver and the receiver. You are put on the paths as equal counterparts to each other. It's a rebalance. And again, it strengthens partnerships, especially romantic partnerships, and just brings everything back to a 50-50. I would say that Yebo is one of the few neutral runes, so its energy is very neutral. It's not positive nor negative. It can be read both positive and negative depending on the context it is put in, but as an individual rune as itself, it is as neutral gets. It is taking things from the extremes and bringing them back to center. It is taking things from both counterparts and bringing it back to center. It is a rebalance, and it is an equilibrium. It's real simple, real straight to the point. It's probably one of the simplest runes in the ways of meaning because you just think neutrality, bringing things back to neutrality. Exchanges you can think of as a pendulum, they go back and forth. Yebo is the moment it crosses in between that we'll always return to. It's probably one of the quickest rune videos that I will make just because it is so simple and there's not much to say about it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try and get back into the swing of this, and I'm also starting to make a Intro to Runes series on TikTok, so if you wanna go check that out as well, my name is Taylor the Tempest over on TikTok, and I hope you have a great day. Skål, my friends.